Your host for Motor Week, John Davis.
Hello and welcome again to Motor Week. Well, it had to happen. Sooner or later, you know, the good old boy of the battlefield and backwoods, well, it's become upwardly mobile. The result is in our first road test. It's still a Jeep, but now it's the Wrangler. Later on, it's everybody's idea of a dream combination of sport and luxury in the same package, the Jaguar XJS. Pat Goss has his usual package of advice on car problems, and Beth Nardone will tell us what's happening with two future imports, the Renault 21 and the Subaru Justy. But in the meantime, let's see what has been happening at Jeep. Plenty, as it turns out. Since in 1985, AMC sold more Jeeps than ever before. Some 35,000 of them were the venerable open-bodied CJ, a veteran that's been around since before there even was an American Motors Corporation. And now, just when a whole new class of buyers are discovering Jeeps, AMC decides to replace the CJ with this all-new model. It's called the Wrangler. Why now? Well, let's turn to the fuller explanation department. As you might expect, the reasons are varied. The last CJ was a direct descendant of the first Jeep and shared many components with the latest military version. But Uncle Sam has stopped buying Jeeps, preferring instead new types of battlefield runabouts. Thus, cost of building the CJ or civilian Jeep could no longer be shared with the armed forces. Since not enough open-bodied Jeeps are sold to warrant totally exclusive components, another source had to be found. That source for the Wrangler, or YJ, is the XJ Cherokee Wagoneer series introduced in 1984. The Wrangler shares major assemblies such as steering gear, brakes, axles, manual transmission and clutch, plus the transfer case with the Cherokee and Wagoneer. This means that all Wranglers come with auto-locking hubs and a part-time transfer case that can be engaged while moving. There's even a 4x4 dash indicator. This gives the Wrangler off-road and bad weather four-wheel drive convenience not known on the CJ. And convenience gets us to another reason for the Wrangler. The Wrangler YJ is being referred to as the Yuppie Jeep. So AMC wanted to make even its most rugged Jeep with more convenience inside too. Gone is the painted steel dash and rudimentary controls. Now it's modern with a full gauge package standard. Only the low-flung light controls seem poorly placed. Lever vent and radio controls are housed in the center for easy access. And if you have doubts about the no-frills approach being gone, even a cellular phone is an option. The standard Sport and Laredo trim levels all come with steel doors. The standard soft top has removable upper door sections, while the optional hard top continues with full doors. But the windshield will still fold flat. The seats are high buckets and were one of the few things we found lacking in the Wrangler. The need for good roll bar protection dictated a somewhat short, thin, and narrow bottom cushion. There's also little back support for long trips. Leg room is limited for the passenger since the right seat still has no fore and aft adjustment. There are running boards now with a built-in step, and both front seats fold forward for easy entry aft. In the rear is a folding seat that can also be removed to make way for cargo. The CJ's drop-lid tailgate has been replaced on the YJ with a swing-away design that conveniently takes the spare tire with it. At first glance, the YJ, as it's being called in Canada, looks much like a CJ with square headlights. But despite similar dimensions, the Wrangler has a lower center of gravity, wider front and rear tread, and it has an overall squattier look, all while actually increasing moving ground clearance. This means the Wrangler should be much less prone to rolling over than the CJ. Billions of dollars in lawsuits against Jeep over CJ rollover accidents was another reason behind the debut of the Wrangler. We found the Wrangler very stable in a slalom, much more so than most of its larger off-road competition. There is much less body roll in the Wrangler, and the steering is quick if extremely numb in road feel. But the biggest thing you notice is the tipsy feeling of the CJ is gone. However, we feel anyone who drives any off-road vehicle like a sports car is a lunatic. Just to be safer, the YJ has heavy roll bar protection on the sides as well as behind the front seats. The Wrangler's turning circle is also smaller than the CJ, a good 34 feet from cowpath to mudhole. Engines include AMC's single-point fuel-injected 2.5-liter 4. Optional and recommended is this carbureted 4.2-liter inline 6. A 5-speed manual is standard with both engines. Our top-line Laredo had the 6 with an automatic and managed a very respectable 13.9-second 0 to 60 run. Low-end torque is abundant. Wrangler ride is noticeably better both on and off-road than the CJ, despite a retention of leaf spring suspension. The short wheelbase can produce porpoising on roads with regular tar strips, but that's typical of its breed. However, while the old model was very susceptible to crosswinds, the Wrangler is not. That's because even with a similar boxy look, many corners are smooth for better airflow. The upright grille is creased and tilts slightly back at the bottom, and the hardtop side glass is flush mounted. The Wrangler retains separate body and frame construction. Splash shields and rock protection appear excellent. While the Wrangler is heavier than the CJ, its slightly more aerodynamic shape kept fuel economy ratings nearly the same. Our Laredo 6-cylinder auto is estimated at 16 city, 18 highway. We managed 18 on our economy loop. So what's the conclusion? Is the Wrangler still all Jeep? You bet, and better. We like its improved stability and civilized ride. The shift-on-the-fly transfer case and auto-lock hubs improve its convenience. Plus, the interior design brings it solidly into the modern automotive world. Negatives? Well, the seats are not suitable for long terms in the saddle, and more right seat footroom is needed. The steering could also use more driver feel. But the Wrangler YJ is a big step forward for open-bodied Jeeps. It's changed just enough to make it also appeal to a new class of buyers, yet it retains its originality. Enough so that the open-bodied Jeep is recognized around the world as the most distinctively American vehicle ever.